Welcome back to Sueños to Success, the show where transformation meets testimony and dreams are built on legacy. I'm your host, Dr. Victor Rios, and of course, I like keeping it real with it Rios here. Today, I'm joined by someone who not only serves others in their deepest moments of pain, but also reminds us that emotional awareness and spiritual centering are critical to success. Please welcome my hermano, speaker, and therapeutic healer, Jesus Vera. Welcome, Jesus.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Thanks for having me, Rios.
Hey, I'm excited, man, because
Yeah.
I've had a lot of professionals here, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking, man, you have a bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
you have a master's degree.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
I know
you.
that's recent.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
but you're also a Gen Zer.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool because we're trying to like uplift the newest generations, and you kind of represent that generation. So for you to be uplifting out there, those young people, it's incredible, and I'm honored to have you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, I was born in '99, so I was at the forefront of Gen Z, if you want to say that. Some Gen Z, they don't consider me Gen Z anymore, but I'm like, yo, don't do that to me. They be calling me Unc and stuff, but I'm still there. Like, come on now.
Now, I know you travel the country,
Yeah.
guiding people, helping people find their purpose, but most importantly, their legacy. And so today, the theme of today's show is about legacy. And I wonder, like, if in a few lines you could define what legacy is.
Of course. And I think legacy is one of those things where it doesn't have one definition, right? So when I'm with a group, students or professionals, I like to ask them first. Everyone will say something different, right? It will be like, oh, my family, right? Or it's kind of something that you project into the future. Or some people will say, it's what you leave behind, right? So for me, the working definition I love to use for groups and for myself is an imprint of your impact. Imprint of your impact.
Imprint
right?
of your impact. Break
Yeah.
that down for me.
So when we look at an imprint, it can be something that either happened years ago, or it could be something that you're setting in stone for the future. And so when I think about legacy, it's not just past, present, but it's quite literally for eternity, right? However, it can only be set in stone if it is service and impact oriented, right? And so it's that idea of like, who are you really doing things for? When we do things for the self, there is a cap. But when it is other centered, other focused, it's limitless. In other words, eternal. Yeah.
So that impact is about helping others. It's about uplifting communities. It's
Yeah.
about supporting people who are down on their luck, and we need to be there for them. That's the impact, and the imprint that's, as you say, perpetual or infinite. People remember that legacy.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get right to it,
Let's
man,
do it.
because you say this beautiful Muhammad Ali quote
Okay.
that speaks to legacy when you speak out there and you motivate people. And I wondered if you would just tell us a little bit of that quote and why you picked that quote.
Of course. So I pride myself in being a storyteller, right? I think it's in our people's history to tell stories. That's how people have always resonated. That's how people feel. And that's how movements have started. It's always with a story. And so that Muhammad Ali story is one of the ones I just keep in my back pocket, right? Because I can put it anywhere. And so, and if you know anything about Muhammad Ali, I think unlike other sports like basketball, football, soccer, where people tend to argue over who the GOAT is, I think boxing and Muhammad Ali is one of those where it's like across the board, everyone agrees. Muhammad Ali quite literally is the greatest of all time, right? And And that starts with the belief that he has with himself. You know, he always says, you'll always hear him in interviews literally say, I am the greatest. I am the greatest, right? There's an interview where he's preparing for a fight, and he's saying, I don't wrestle with the alligator, tussle with the whale, handcuff lightning through thunder in jail. Just last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. And he says, you know, I'm so fast, I hit the light switch. I'm in bed before the light is even off. And these are things that he really believes about himself.
That's amazing, man. I'm in bed when I hit the light switch.
Before the light is even off.
It's a few feet away from me.
Just boom.
He hits it.
He's in bed.
Before the light goes out. So he's moving faster than the speed of light.
Because he's trying to intimidate his opponent, and at the same time try to instill that delusional belief in himself that I think is required to become a winner, to become successful.
So let's get deeper into that. So, you know, you're a psychologist, you're trained as a therapist. So psychologically, why is it important for me to have that kind of bravado or confidence in life when I'm thinking like, man, I can move faster than the speed of light?
Right. So two things come to mind, and we were kind of talking about this off script a little bit, and it's the need for an ego. That's the first thing that comes to mind, right? Freud talks about it, that, you know, this just kind of that notion of like what drives you as a human being. And we put a negative connotation on ego, on this idea of like, I am good, I am great, I am the best, like no one can compete against me, right? It's the athlete that you don't really like playing with, that you don't really want on the team, right? But it's that same athlete that makes your team win, so you kind of keep them on the team. The problem is that ego is good, ego is great because it drives you to be better. The problem is when we become egocentric, right? And then we lose sight of the other, right? So we go back to the legacy piece. The legacy piece keeps you in line, keeps your ego in check, because it will always force you to look at someone else and be like, I will be great, but for their sake, right?
So when you're turning off that light switch and beating the speed of light to get in bed,
Right.
You're that fast because you're doing it for a purpose, to help others.
Exactly. And so when we look at Muhammad Ali, again, we're going to use him as a case study, is what actually did make him the greatest, right? Because we talk about the boxing, but we forget what he actually stood for, right? He lost his boxing license because he was committed to not going to the Vietnam War, because he was like, I'm not going over there to kill people who have done nothing to me when my own people are getting killed in this soil and in this country. And they tried to force his hand. They took away his boxing license. They took away his checks. They took away his money. And he was committed. He was thrown in jail, and he was committed to not going, right? Because he was always focused on, how does my greatness impact someone else? And before we move on from that piece, I also want to just touch on, you asked about the psychology behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I love to tell our students is like, hey, did you guys know that we have about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day? Like, just on average, we were walking around with so many thoughts. But on average, 80% of those thoughts are negative.
Oh.
And around 90% of those 80% are repetitive negative thoughts. And so I'm going to say it again.
Let me think about this for a second. So I got all these thousands of thoughts, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. And out of those 80% of thoughts, which are a few thousand, 80% of those are repetitive.
90% of them are repetitive.
So, Victor, you're dumb. Victor, you're dumb. Victor, you're dumb. I'm
just
saying
over
that
and over.
Over and over.
Over and over. And so we have to be intentional with the belief system. We have to be intentional with the, like, your worth. Who are you? What do you actually believe about yourself, right? And it takes work. It takes discipline to try to rewire those thoughts. Of course, we're humans. I don't think we'll ever really get rid of those thoughts, but at least they're not defining or they're not controlling. And I think that's the key right there. So Muhammad Ali has the same thoughts, right? But he doesn't show it. He doesn't show it.
He doesn't show it. And then eventually, if you believe it, if you say it enough times, you start to believe it. Like, I could beat the speed of light,
Yeah.
And maybe, in this real world, we'll never beat the speed of light, but at least psychologically we feel that way.
Yeah.
And that gives us the competence to not just be able to help ourselves, but to help others. Man, I like that difference between the ego and being egocentric.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you just break that down for me one more time? The difference between having an ego and like believing in yourself, but also not being egocentric.
Yeah. And again, it's what is the ego being used for, right? Here's another example. Tom Brady, right? Again, like I'm a Raiders fan, so for a long time I felt some type of way of Tom Brady. I'm like, because of the Tuck Rule game that happened a long time. I don't even think I was around for it for real, but I know you're a Raider fan too. So
I was watching it live.
You're
man.
watching it live.
It's just, you talking about the snow is there, the ice is there, the ball slips, the back call,
right?
Yeah. And just for the listeners, the Raiders were on their way to winning,
right?
The Super Bowl.
Yes.
And there was a bad call,
right?
And they gave the game. According to Raiders fans, I'm a Raiders fan, at least in.
You were. I'm sorry.
My growing up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm from Oakland, so I got to be a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
But when they hit Vegas, let's just say I entered an existential crisis.
That's
I'm
fair.
not sure yet
where you fall.
Where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
but back to the Tom Brady.
My heart is there.
So and people dislike him because why? Because he wins and he has a legacy, right? But we talk about that ego boy. There was a point in his career where he had to significantly cut his salary in order for the interest of the team, right? And it's like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you sacrifice yourself for the best interests of other people. And if your ego doesn't drive you to do that, then you might be egocentric.
And so legacy exists in the ego, but not in egocentrism.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's deep. Well, I want to get into a little bit your coming up story, because I think a lot of the wisdom we get is from our experiences growing up and from the roots that we come from. And I know you grew up in Stockton, California.
Yes, sir. Shout out to 209.
209, man. And I know that you have a very hardworking family that taught you that hardworking ethic. So what was that experience like growing up, and how did that shape you to become who you are today?
Yeah, so I'm a first gen born in the States. I was born in San Jose, California. So my family, if you're familiar with San Jose, like McKee, Alum Rock, kind of like the east side of San Ho. Mm-hmm. But when I was 2, we moved to Stockton. Shout out to my pops. He did it, the American dream, fulfilled it. He bought a house. Of course, it had to be outside the Bay, just because the Bay was expensive. So at the age of 2, we moved to Stockton, and but just because we moved doesn't mean employment moved, right? So my dad stayed in the Bay working while living in Stockton, and my early memories is just fun, My mom was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and so she was hyper involved in school. I was a bit of a crybaby, so like I cried a lot when she left me in preschool. So she ended up just becoming a teacher's aide, and so she was there, and she was super involved my brother's schooling as well. And
wait, your mom was a teacher's aide in your preschool?
Yeah, because I would cry.
I love it, man.
Yeah, I would cry a lot. She'll tell you the story. Like, I ran out once, and she almost like ran me over because she didn't see me, and yeah, it was a whole thing.
So she's like, if I can't leave him here, I'll just stay with him as a staff member.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
So, that's smart.
Yeah, she just loves the school system for sure, and then growing up in Stockton, it has its own things, right? So my brother kind of came up in a time where a lot of people were moving from the Bay. And so Stockton was already pretty heavily gang affiliated just on its own. But then you get people moving in from Richmond, Oakland, the Bay, SF, San Jose. And so now you got more pockets of gangs in a space that already has its own gangs. And so, you know, that was a time early on where it was like you just had to, you know, protect yourself if you were. But I was young, so I didn't really. My brother took more of that space on, and I would just kind of like see my brother do his thing. And the thing about, you talk about the hardworking piece, is like my pops again was still working, you know.
And he's
Commuting, wake up every day at 3
in the morning.
Yeah, I'm 25 now, so he's been doing that for 23 years.
So he gets up at 3 in the morning
and drives, gets to he works in Silicon Valley. He gets there around 5 a.m., right? Right around 5, and he'll get out of work around 1 or 2, but you don't see him at the crib until like 4 or 5. And that's just every single day. My mom's been doing that more recently, since I was like 12 or something. So she's been doing it for close to a decade, a little over a decade. Her stop is in Livermore, so it's not too far off, but it's still, she has to wake up at the same time because that morning commute is difficult. And that's where the work ethic comes from, right? You know, they kind of have a broken English, yet they are still able to survive on a day-to-day basis. And talked about my pops making the American dream happen. I like to tell the students, you know, my pops was so nice, he did it twice, right? He bought that house and we got another house. Other house was dope, man, because it had a stairway at the front, a stairway in the back. The stairs would meet in the middle, and we had a second floor. Man, it was. We had a big backyard. It was dope. But then the recession hit, right? And at some point, my pops ended up losing both homes, and it was a whole thing. And again, I'm coming up at this point, right? I'm like in middle school at this point when all this is happening, right?
So wait, so let me pause here. So you got 2 homes. You live in the American dream.
Yep.
I can't even visualize, man. I don't even know if I've walked into a house that has two staircases that meet.
Meet in the middle, yep.
That's awesome.
It was dope.
So you got that kind of a crib. You're living, you know, you're kind of like just living a nice little life. And then 2008 hits. The economy goes down. People can't pay their mortgage because the banks kept raising the rate. And
mind you, and I have no idea what's going on because I'm like, at this point, I'm like 10.
Yeah.
You know, so I just...
So if you're paying $2,000 for it, now you got next month you got to pay $2,500 for it. And
something like
next
that,
month you got to pay $3,000.
Yeah.
Before you know it, 6 months into it, you're paying $5,000 when you only were paying $2,000 before.
Yeah.
And that's what caused the real estate market to crash everywhere. And people had to give up their houses. And so your dad had to give up both houses.
He lost the big one first. We moved back to, because he was renting the first one. We moved back to that one and eventually lost that one. And then we've been renting ever since. And that's just how it's. So yeah.
Well, so you don't know what's going on. You just know you guys are downgrading.
Yep. Yeah, that's all I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then later, as you get a little bit older, you start to realize, wait, my parents are working hard, but they've already lost the American dream.
They've lost the American dream. Yep. And I think I've told you this before, but I'll tell it on the podcast. You know, I think it was like last year, I was driving with my mom, and you know, I got this whole vision for myself. And shout out to my accountability group. It consists of my uncle, my brother, and my cousin, and my other cousin, and we're actively working like really hard individually, but communally as well, to try to make kind of the visions come to life.
Wait, hold on. Let's pause.
Okay.
I talk a lot about building your wolf pack.
Right, you do.
And your wolf pack is people you could trust.
Yes.
Is people that are trying to walk a righteous path and trying to heal from the traumas of the past.
Yeah.
And wolf pack, you know, members are people that are going to be your inner circle and have your back.
Yep.
And you know, there are people that are trying to make the best choices. Sometimes they won't, but then you hold each other accountable. You're talking about an accountability group Tell me more about that.
All right. Can I tell you the full story though?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how much. All right. All right.
We got
So
time, don't
okay.
worry.
So if we backtrack a little bit, I told you kind of how my brother got caught up just in Stockton lifestyle, right? And that's just you know, I'm sure maybe one day he can come and tell his story and he can tell it fully, the bigger picture. Um, but we I think I was about 13. So he's 8 years older than me. So he was about 21, right? And he was in a stage in his life where, if from my perspective, it looked like he was trying to get in the right headspace for the years to come. And this was like early on in his self development, trying to get things together. And he showed me a video. This guy named Eric Thomas, right? And I'll tell you the story very quickly. So this guy Eric Thomas, he says one day there was a young man wanted to be successful. So he went up to this guru and asked the guru, "Hey, I want to be successful. How can I be successful?" He said, "You want to be successful? Meet me tomorrow at the beach at 3 a.m." He said, "The beach?" He said, "I'm trying to be successful. I'm not trying to swim." He said, "If you want to be successful, meet me tomorrow at the beach at 3 a.m." So next day come around, he meets him tomorrow at 3 a.m. in the beach. Wore a suit, should have wore trunks, right? So then he sees the guru's out in the water. He says, "Come onto the water." So the young man goes into the water about knee deep. He says, "Come a little bit further." So now he's about waist deep. He says, "Come a little bit further." So now it's up to his neck. And so the guru grabs him by the head, this young man, and dunks his head in the water and keeps it there. And the guy's fighting, and he's trying to get some air. And he brings him back up. He says, "When you were underwater, what did you want to do?" What do you think he said?
You live.
Live. So he said, "Breathe." And then he said, "When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful." And that's the video that my brother showed me.
Dang.
Right.
Wait, say that again, bro.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Don't quote me, quote Eric Thomas, because he's the one who said it.
Wow.
Right. And so that's the video my brother showed me. And he went on his own journey of like ups and downs, self-development and all that. But when I saw that video at 13, I not only felt inspired and motivated, but something in me said, you can do this too. Whatever that guy transmitted into you by his voice, you can do that too. So I kept that in the back of my heart.
How old are you?
I was about 13, 14.
Okay.
I was going into my freshman year. Fast forward, high school, I'm in college. And around early 2019, I want to say early 2019 or late 2018, going to 2019. These are conversations that my brother, myself, and my uncle are having on a regular basis already. Like, hey, what are you reading right now? Like, hey, I watched this video. You should watch this, right? Like, kind of via text. And at one point, my brother decides, like, guys, let's just hop on a weekly call. Let's just do it. We all got goals. Let's help each other out. And so late 2018, early 2019, we started that call. We meet every Sunday from 8 to 9 p.m. And since then, we've added 2 more cousins onto the call. And at the time when I started, I was still a junior in college. My brother was trying to kind of start his own business. My uncle was a sales guy, still is, but I'll update you right now. And my cousins who started a little bit later, one of my cousins, like, he's kind of like into like contracting type of work. Like he basically works on homes type of stuff. And my other cousin, he was just, I think he was working like at a Dollar Tree, right? Fast forward now, 2025, right? Got my master's, clinically trained in psychotherapy, and I go around speaking to students. My brother's a loan officer, closing deals. My uncle still has a sales gig, but he's also a real estate agent guy, closing deals. My cousin now owns his own landscaping business that is profiting, and he's meeting his revenue margins. And then my other cousins is obviously still blowing up his business as well. And that's because we meet every single Sunday.
What You get on a Zoom call?
We get on a Zoom call.
What do you guys, how do you hold each other accountable? Are you like, hey, fool, like, what did you do this week?
Yeah, so we have a weekly scoreboard of the things. So we start with the vision, right? So write the vision and make it clear is what I tell my students. Write the vision and make it clear so work yourself from the top backwards, right? With that vision, now set up your quarters. What does your quarter look like? Okay, you know what your quarter looks like, you know what your goals for the quarter are.
Quarter meaning 3 months.
Yeah, Q1, Q2, yep, exactly. So the first 3 months, yeah. So all the 4 quarters in a year. Then what does your week look like? What are the daily commitments each day of the 7 days a week that you need to hit in order to reach that quarterly goal, in order to reach that yearly goal, right? And we try to break it up in 5 categories. So family, right? So we're very holistic with our approach, right? So my brother and my 2 cousins have kids, right? So how are we moving the needle with our family, right? So there's family goals, there's financial goals, meaning either personal finances or your business. There's fitness goals, right? Like, are you hitting your workouts? Are you drinking your gallon? Are you eating right? Like
Drinking a gallon of what? Let's
gallon
clarify.
Of water a day.
Let's
gallon
clarify.
of water a day, right? Are you doing
Why
that?
is it important to drink a gallon of water a day?
I mean, I couldn't tell you. Some doctors might not recommend it, right? A whole gallon. But we really just do it for the discipline piece. And of course, I mean, rejuvenate your body.
Well, hydration is crucial.
Hydration.
Yeah, hydration is crucial.
Course.
And then also, we think sometimes we think we need that snack or that food, that junk food, but really we're just thirsty. So I agree with you guys on that one.
And then also, then there's we call it like a fun freedom piece, right? Like, how are you resting, being intentional with your rest? Are you having these family days? Are you doing something for yourself? Are you doing something for your own mental health? So that's, and then the last one is faith, right? Like, what does that faith piece look like to you? So we happen to all be Christians on the call. And so how are we moving the needle with that piece of our lives? And as far as the call goes, we spend about the first half hour, we rotate between listening to podcasts or reading books. And then each week we will be like, all right, whose turn was it for the podcast, or whose turn was it for the book? And then we'll kind of update each other on what we've been reading, or we'll send out the podcast and everyone listens to it during the week.
So this
podcast will get sent into the call. Yeah, okay. 100%. They'll listen to this.
And then you guys break it down and take whatever knowledge.
And then we just, and then we pass it on, or, we're like, oh, this was really good. And then we kind of just break things down some more. The last 30 minutes of the call are, did you win the week or did you lose the week, and why? And we have the scoreboard and it's shared notes, so you can't lie because we can see if you won the daily. And then we'll be like, okay, well, what's going on this week for you?
So like a Google Doc, the scoreboard?
Just the notes on the phone, yeah. And so be like, Victor, what was going on? Like, why did you lose? This and this happened. And, sometimes, because grace is important. And then we'll be like, okay, that's understandable. Or sometimes we'll be like, well, kind of like Regis says, no excuses, right? Like, could you have done this in the morning? Could you have done this at that time slot? Like, where, and then, so that's where we try to pick up the pieces and try to move the needle forward. So it's so for our listeners or viewers, find your people, right? Find your people. And outside of that, like, I got my homies still who I keep in check. They keep me in check, right? So it can be your family, or it can be your friends, or it can be some people just don't have those spaces. So find a community that has similar interests. Find a mentor. I view you as one of my mentors, and I've been picking your brain for the past 2 days, right? And so it's just like, find places and spaces and people that are going the same place you want to go, or are already in the place you're trying to go, and find ways to provide value, right? Like, I can't provide financial value to you, right? But there are other ways that I can provide value. If you say, hey, I need you at this school, bet I'll drop whatever I'm doing and I'll be at that school, because I know that that's the way that I can provide value to you.
That's that legacy piece. So folks, what I'm hearing here from Jesus is that in order to create that legacy in your life, you got to have the right people around you, and you got to have um, an accountability program going. So, you know, you're holding, I like the fact that you get to check each other. Hey, man, what's going on? Did you do it? Did you meet your goals?
Mm-hmm.
If not, we're going to press you. And sometimes we're going to have a little grace. But in a couple of weeks, you better have met
Yeah.
that goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great. Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever told you about that, huh?
No, the
Yeah.
accountability group. That's a good one. I don't even have one, so I'm gonna
Come
start
on,
building
man. You
one.
gotta get
You
one
want to be part of it?
Get one going with Jay. Come on, man.
Yeah, I gotta get the wolf pack on it. You're very articulate. You're charismatic. You go out there. You're on stages. You're motivating youth and professionals. Um, I'm wondering, you know, why you decided that, therapy, psychology was a way to go in terms of your master's degree.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as my therapeutic training, a lot of it comes from the clinical work I do. So I work in hospitals, and I'm actively sitting with patients, and for me, um, that piece was, it kind of just landed on me. It's one of those things where it's like, we in the hospital, we like to say, like, you don't really choose to work at a hospital, like the hospital kind of chooses you. And I think that's like, that reigns true in all ways.
Tell, I know you work with people that are really struggling, fighting for their lives, literally in
Yeah.
the hospital.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've worked in pretty much every unit across the board, from cardiovascular to telemetry to ICU. The ICU is a whole nother thing, right? Because it's people in critical condition, from the emergency room. So you're getting the thing live, whatever took place, whether someone got shot or whether someone has a really bad ache that they don't know where it's coming from. And so you meet people not after the suffering. You're meeting people in real time as they are suffering.
Wow.
And you have to be the person. You're not coming in with any technical terms. You're not coming in to explain the medicine. You're not coming in. So a lot of times they don't even want to talk to you, right? Because who are they waiting for? They're waiting for the doctor, right? So my role is more so like, I know you don't want to talk to me, right? But I'm coming to bring you peace of mind. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. But for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hour or so, I am here with you, and you are not alone. And we will process this together. And so for me, the psychotherapeutic part, the emotional piece, it's a real in real time, hands-on healing experience. And so that's kind of what has driven me to that place and has kept me in that place, right? Because my background is ministry, and oftentimes ministry may oftentimes may feel like you're pushing the rock up, but it never really goes up, right? Because you're dealing with people and all the baggage of what people experience, and that can be a lot of work. This piece is like you're dealing with boulders, but in pockets of time, right? And so you can chip away at the boulder, and so if we're going to use that analogy, if I'm meeting with a patient, my goal is to have helped them either learn how to chip, or continue to have chip, or at least picked up the chipping materials, so that they can leave our session, or they can leave my room, and we'll have started the healing process. Because I can't heal a person in a 30-minute visit, but I can point them in the direction of healing. And that's what I love to do with my students too.
And you have 5,000 hours.
Just about, yeah. So for training purposes, you need at least one unit is about 400 hours of clinical training. I graduated with 5 clinical units, so that equates to a little over 2,000 hours. But I've been in the field now for 4 years, so total hours of of just clinical work helping people has been about 5,000 now. So
That's incredible, man.
yeah,
And
5,000 more, and I'll be an expert, I guess.
Hey, man, but you've helped a lot of people out, and just thinking of overcoming trauma, right? So in order to build a legacy, you got to be in a good headspace.
100%.
You can't be
100%.
You can't build legacy money wise, family wise, spiritually wise. You can't build legacy if your headspace is in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the strategies that you start to use? Particularly, I'm thinking of young people that sometimes they're told to toughen up and not share and ignore what they're feeling. How do you get them to kind of crack open, especially if they're feeling like, man, I ain't trying to share anything? And we got a little research here. According to a Kaiser Family Foundation report, only 1 in 3 Latinos experiencing mental health issues receive treatment. And I know that's the case for a lot of young men in general across the different racial groups. How do we begin to shift that sort of narrative that, if someone's trying to help you with your mindset, you must be crazy. Something's wrong with you. You're not supposed to share your emotions.
Yeah, this is a fascinating question. So to reiterate, how do you get people on board with the experience of legacy while taking a ride through the trauma and the emotions?
Yeah.
That's
because you can't build legacy without dealing with your demons.
Right, exactly. And so that's the key right there, because a lot of times you'll hear people who attain the financial wealth, right? And we're a capitalistic society, so that is a lot of times the driving force, right? And so you'll meet quote unquote successful people, but their marriages will be in ruins, or they don't have the relationship with their parents or their kids, right? And so seemingly on the outside, it's a successful life, but when you look inwards, it's like, oh, I don't want to be like this guy at all, And it's because they don't work through those pieces, right? And so how do we get our youth to begin to open up to those things? And you have to begin with feeling, right? We always, even on your day to day, you'll ask someone, hey man, how are you doing? Or I'm good. It's okay. Like I'm okay, right? Like, and that's it. And we leave it there. Like, cool, go about your business, right? It's more of a formality. It's a gesture. But when you ask someone, hey Vic, how are you feeling? Right? And you may respond, I'm okay. I'm good. And just pause. What does good look like to you today? What does okay mean for you? Right? Because good and okay are not feelings. And so if you're an administrator or a teacher or you work with youth, your goal is to keep probing until you get to the feeling, until the student literally says, I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel blank, right? And teach your students what are the feelings. And the important thing now, the next step is to teach them how to regulate the feelings, right? Because feelings come and go. They're not steady, right? They're not constant. Even positive feelings like being happy. I am not happy 24/7. And if that's what you're striving for, it's impossible, right? So understanding that I may feel like this today, it does not mean I have to feel like that tomorrow. The problem is you have people who have been through trauma, who have been through pain, and they feel sad, they feel angry, and they think that I will feel like that. And then what happens 20 years later, they still feel the same way. Because in the present time, 20 years ago, they did not deal with that piece, right? So being aware of the feeling, understanding what the feeling means, and then learning how to regulate the feeling is what I would say.
This sounds very complicated. So let's break it down very simply. Because you bring a piñata to the party.
Yes.
Literally when you present and do group therapy sessions or motivate young people or even professionals. We were just together working with a group of teachers, of educators, and you brought out a piñata.
Yeah.
How is the piñata an allegory a metaphor for all of this that you're explaining to
Of
teach people
course.
self-regulation.
Of course. So for the listeners and the viewers, I want you to literally picture yourself at a birthday party, right? Preferably, if you're in California, then you've probably been to a Mexican birthday party before, right? Or Hispanic birthday party. So you're at a birthday party and you're having a good time. And all of a sudden, you're going to hear a random tia start yelling, La Piñata, La Piñata. The kids love it. I loved it. I'm sure you loved it. You run outside, boom, right? Look to your left and you see, your uncle up on a roof.
I've been that uncle before, though.
You've been that uncle before. Okay. You just gave out your age, man. Come on. You look up to your right and you see another drunk uncle, right? Up on the tree. And so were you the drunk uncle or were you
I'm
the...
not going to say who that is in the family.
Okay.
But I got his name. I'm actually see him soon. He's coming to visit me.
Okay, well, shout out to you, Theo. We appreciate you. And then right in the middle, you have the piñata, right? And all the kids love it. They line up, right? Usually little kids to big kids. And the first thing that they do is, or here's what I like to tell the students is you have two group of kids. You have your silver teeth activity kid. They're ready to break the piñata. They are excited, right? Or you have your kid who's super shy and doesn't want to step up to the plate. And so we use the piñata as a metaphor to understand the awareness piece. Who are you? What do you believe? Do you actually feel like you have what it takes to grab this stick and go accomplish this goal that you have in mind?
Blindfolded,
you're spun around, right? What do you do when life spins you around? What do you do when life blindfolds you, when you don't know what's going on, when you have to rely on other senses? Because sometimes we have a vision, we have a goal, but because of trauma, it gets disrupted. And so how do you rely on other senses to still reach your goal?
Wow.
It's a whole thing. And that's just the first piece, right?
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Do you want to stop there?
Yeah,
okay.
I want to process this. So if I grew up all messed up, if I grew up without a father, if I grew up with my mother not present, if I grew up seeing dead bodies,
mercy, yeah,
right. If I grew up that way, and then I held all that in, I didn't never process that, and then I'm going through life now as a grown up. I'm successful, maybe I have a good job,
right.
But I never got to process that stuff.
Yeah.
Am I still blindfolded and disoriented, even though I've reached this level of adulthood where I think I'm okay?
Of course, because I think we look at life as stages. We don't look at life as a whole, right? So cool, great. I'm glad that you're successful, but now you're raising a 5-year-old boy, right? And you didn't have your father in your life, or you went through this. And so now you actually have to, in order to be a successful father, you have to go back and revisit those pain points in order to see how you felt and to see what was actually missing in that stage of your life in order to fulfill your responsibility now of being a father. What ends up happening is that does not happen, and especially in our Hispanic households. And so then what the father will do is he will either run from those feelings, run from those responsibilities, or he'll just try to push them down as deep as he can. And so now you have a resentment when that young boy becomes a teenager, right? Because the connect is not there, right? Because the father didn't work through what he had to work through. And this boy's like, man, why is Pops like this? Or why is Pops on my case? Or, why is Pops always tripping, da-da-da-da. And the relationship ends up being like scarred. And then it just moves on to the next generation.
Oh, right? So legacy really in this case, we're talking about fatherhood now in this moment, is about kind of making sure that for that next generation, you're in one piece, that you've processed and worked through whatever happened to you as a kid. Because otherwise, without even knowing it, you might be passing it out to your kid.
Yep. And again, for our teachers, educators, it's the same thing, right? You have to process the quote unquote mess in your life, both past and present, because the students know who's showing up to the classroom. They can tell, right? They understand, and they'll react to that as well, right? So keeping it real with your students, like Regis always says, like you have to, right? You have to do the work. Yeah. Did you want me to return to the piñata?
Yes. And you mentioned Regis a couple of times. We're talking about Mr. Regis Inge, who was Kendrick Lamar's teacher.
Yeah.
We got an episode with him that was very powerful, and he's another amazing Wolfpack member. And he drops really good knowledge on.
Yeah.
He's a 30-year classroom veteran, so he's incredible.
Shout out to that boy, man.
Yeah, shout out to Regis, Mr. Inge. Yeah, so we're at the party.
We're at the party.
We're disoriented.
Yeah.
We're trying to hit the piñata. What happens next?
Right. So that internal belief system, right? We talked about that, but then we have to talk about the external awareness, right? Because then you have the crowd around you, right? And usually the crowd is either cheering you on, right? Like, go Victor, like it's there, it's in front of you, you can hit it. Or you have, your cousins who just want to make you look like a fool, and so they'll sway you in the wrong direction, and the whole time you're swinging left, but the piñata is like way, way behind you and everyone's laughing, right? Comical, and it's not necessarily a harmful act at a piñata scene, right? At a birthday party scene, but in life, right? When you're disoriented, who are you attuned to? Who is your ear listening to, right? Again, your vision is blindfolded. You don't have a choice but to listen at that point, right? And so we have students, young people, who are disoriented, who have trauma, who have pain, and their hearing is towards the wrong voices, right? This is why you have, this is why gangs prominently, they gravitates towards the youth, right? Because it's the sense of community is there, right? It's a positive thing in the sense of community, but in the way that it's experienced comes out negative, right? But they can't see that because their vision is blinded, and all they have, and that's the only person in their ear, right? No one else or they might have their parents in their ear, but it comes off as, oh, they're tripping. Oh, moms doesn't know, pops doesn't know, right? And so it's like, man, like, where is your ear turning to, right? If faith is your thing, are you turning to your faith source during those times? Are you not turning to that? So that's just the first component, right? We move on to the next components. You need to be consistent, right? Compound effect, hit the piñata over and over. You need to have heart and resilience. What happens when you can't break it? Do you keep striving for your goal? Do you just give up and let the next kid go? You need to have a sense of urgency, right? So these are the principles that I go over: awareness, consistency, heart, urgency. Urgency because we sing a song in our culture, right? Dale, dale, dale. No pierdas el tino. And so that song dictates the amount of time you have to break a piñata, right? And it resembles life. You don't have a lifetime, right? You only have, on average, about 78 years of life. And our young people think, I have so much time. And so they think they can waste it. On the contrary, I'm trying to get our youth to understand, yes, you have a lot of time, so use it. Don't waste it, right? Because you can either A, break the piñata, A, reach your goal, or B, inflict enough damage to the piñata so that the generation after you doesn't have to try as hard, or C, you did nothing with your life, you did nothing with the time to break the piñata, and you wasted everyone's time, right? Not to say that you're a waste, but you wasted the time that was permitted to you. And the fifth piece that ties it all together is, in my experience, the kid who breaks the piñata is the last kid to get candy, right? And then I'll ask the group, why is that, right? And the wheels start turning. And I love this analogy because you can see the spark behind the people's eyes, right? Because a piñata experience is universal. And then when I see my Hispanic kids, they're like all into the story, right? Because they probably went to a birthday party the weekend before. And then the answer to the question is like, well, why is it that the kid who breaks it is the last one to get candy? And it's because everyone jumps in the moment it breaks. And so the metaphor here is like, hey, like the candy's not for you. The sacrifice, the hard work, the awareness, the heart piece. Legacy will always be about your imprint of your impact, right? What are you doing for those around you? What are you doing for your community? Are you changing the narrative of where you're from? That's one of my goals, right? change the narrative of Stockton. Like, I want Stockton to be known for its beauty, its diversity, its hardworking people, its voices, its art. It's such a rich city, but it's clouded because of the gang and the violence.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's profound. So I remember I didn't like breaking the piñata because, like if you had a few of the chocolates that I really liked in there,
Yeah,
everyone already got them.
everyone got him.
And
Yeah.
so you left with the old broken,
The
dusty
broken
candies.
one, yeah.
And that's not the best feeling.
Yeah,
But
right.
that's the legacy you're talking about. Sometimes it's not the best feeling to start to build a legacy because you're sacrificing a lot
Yeah.
to give to others. Maybe there's young people out there having to raise their little siblings. They're sacrificing so much to, for their family. There's young people out there I meet that they're the adults in the family. They have parents at home, but the parents are not doing well psychologically, or even maybe have substance abuse issues. So they have to be the adult. Matter of fact, recently I was in a space where there were little kids telling their mom and dad, like, stop drinking. You got to drive us home. And so, of course, we had to intervene and make sure the kids got home safe. But to have that burden as a little kid, to be the adult, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're building a legacy and you don't get that candy because you feel like you don't deserve it, even though you're a child that deserves a sweet and a treat. But the truth is that when you're building a legacy, maybe it's later in life where you get to go back. For instance, I didn't have a father growing up, but the minute, and I was mad about it my whole life. I was mad about not having a father. I would beat people up because I didn't have a father. I was angry. And the minute my twins were born, I found the father I was always looking for. And that's that moment of going back. It's the moment of digging deep and figuring out what kind of father am I going to be for them?
Yeah.
How can I uplift them and bring them up and make sure that they feel like they've had that presence there and that support throughout their lifetimes? And reinventing yourself is one of the most beautiful redemptions you can have in life, because now you went from having nothing or the absence of a father to now being that father you were always looking for.
That's good.
And so for me, your piñata metaphor speaks to my own journey, man.
Wow.
So I appreciate it. And I know a lot of young people out there enjoying that story. Not just young people, man, professionals too that need that guidance in life. So going back a little bit to the research, a recent Pew Research study shows that 74% of Latinos say helping their community is essential to feeling fulfilled, the legacy piece you're talking about. What role does heart play in leadership, and what does it mean to leave an impact? I know we've been talking a little bit about that. So the connection I want to make here, Jesus, is if someone's feeling lost right now, like they're blindfolded and spun around, they can't even help themselves. So how can they make a connection to their own getting a little bit more oriented in their own giving back and making sure they hit their goals? That piñata is not just going to help them get through the situation, but help others.
Yeah. This is a good question, because we're talking about someone who's disoriented or who's lost and can't even begin to think about all the things we're talking about, right? So the first piece is like it says back here, keep it real with Rios. You gotta be vulnerable with yourself. You have to acknowledge the situation that you're in. Because a lot of the times when we experience like these heavy emotions, like that anxiety, that depression, right? It's a prolonged state of the same feeling, right? But when you take a huge step back and you're like, okay, what the heck is going on? What has me like this, and what can I do, right? And then we talk about impact and service. You hear a lot of people be like, I just don't know what my purpose is, right? It's because the purpose is always self-fulfilled. Like they're always looking internally, like how can I fulfill, right? When you shift the purpose just a little bit to the left or to the right, you're like, oh, my purpose is to help someone else, right? So in service, in impacting, the healing actually works both ways, right? You will actually begin to process and heal like the things that you're going through, right? Because it does something to you when someone looks at you, smiles, and says, "Thank you for helping me. You changed my life," or "You really helped me out today."
So helping others is therapeutic.
100%.
Wow.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I like it. I like it. So we're gonna enter now the Real with Rios
Okay.
part of
All right.
the episode, and it I like fixing things.
Okay.
I know you got to see one of my old cars, '67 Camaro. Me and my son Mark have been working on for a couple years. I've always liked working on old cars. Anything breaks at the house, I like fixing it. It's therapeutic for me as well. So helping others and then fixing things.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic for me. If you could fix anything in your life right now, what would you fix?
If I could fix anything in my life right now, this is outward or inward?
You decide.
We actually talked about this yesterday on the road, which you made me drive, by the way, for about 4 hours. Just want to put that out there.
Hey,
I'm my fault, man. Just calling you out, man.
Old man needs a rest.
Yeah. No, man. I would fix the doubt piece, man. I actually still struggle a lot with doubt in my personal vision, because you don't see the vision become tangible in real time. You don't see that on a day-to-day basis, right? I'm doing the cold calling, the cold email, or I'm showing up to people's schools and I'm like, hey, like I can really help your youth. I can speak to them. And they're like, cool, thanks for the donuts, and we'll email you back. And
talk about the donuts real quick.
Yeah, so I do donut runs. I'll go to random schools, random districts, and I'll literally like knock on their door, and they'll be like, just leave it here. I'm like, no, this is for your principal. And they're like, oh, how do you know our okay? And then they'll be like, oh, they're in a meeting, or they're not here right now, but we'll take the donuts. Thank you. And I got to do a better job at that, at not giving them the donuts unless I talk to someone. So that's on me. Someone told me that, like, don't give them the donuts if they're not going to talk to you,
I disagree. You just want to be giving.
That is also true.
In the universe.
That is also true.
And then some people just, egocentric.
Right.
Thank you. This is for me.
Yeah.
And some people be ego, like, hey, we're trying to build a good school. We are a good school. You're going to contribute to it. We're calling you.
Yeah. And so when you hit the nose, or you hit the dream doesn't feel to be moving forward, or even me, when I'm not doing the things I know I should be doing on a day-to-day basis, that doubt just overshadows, right? It's like, why are you doing this? You're not gonna, do you really think that you can get to that? And it just, right, because of the thoughts, right? And so if I could fix that immediately, like right now, today, I would, right? But I'm in the process of fixing it every single day. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And then one other question is, thinking about, your character, right? Your personality, who you are, your full humanity, right? What's one thing that would surprise us all about you?
What's surprise about me?
Yeah, like if you shared something about your personal life, what would be surprising?
I feel like those really close to me, like it doesn't surprise them at all, but like outward facing, because I tend to be like very reserved and quiet, like at the forefront, like with just people in general, right? Very thoughtful in that sense. Listen more than you talk. But if you really know me, like my nieces and nephews know me, like my close friends know me, like my parents know me, like my girl knows me. It's like I just like to goof around a lot. Like it's very hard for me to just be like serious in that sense. Like I'm just always messing around so much, sometimes to a fault, especially if you ask my girl. That's why she's always checking me, because I'm always messing around, But like I just, even with the students, right? I have to check myself because we're the same generation. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm not here as their friend right now. I'm trying to teach them. But then the jokes they say, the stuff their humor, it's like, that's actually pretty funny. But it's so, yeah, man, I just like to goof around, mess around, like kind of like in the safety of my own home type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. And you got a children's book you're working on. Will you tell us a little bit about that? Because I got to see a preview and it's fire, man. You got this little star that roams around and he's trying to, man, break it down.
So right now the working title and hopefully the title we will go with is How to Feed Your Dream, right? So the protagonist has this dream of being successful and helping people, right? But the fear and the doubt kicks in, right? And it starts to really overcloud that dream, this star character. And so the protagonist says, all right, if I'm going to feed this dream, then I need to feed it the right stuff. So the protagonist goes on a journey, visiting his closest friends and family and asking them for their secret ingredient to their secret recipe. So everything from enchiladas to cheeseburgers to pancakes, like it's a whole thing, right? And each person gives the protagonist a secret ingredient, right? And it says, if you feed your dream blank, it will grow. And so by the end of the journey, he has this list of things, of principles that he needs in order to feed his dream. And the best part is he gets to share it with everyone. So How to Feed Your Dream coming out real soon.
All right. Well, hey, Jesus, it's been wonderful having you on the show. Very insightful. Man, you gave us a lot of nice psychological strategies. And to the viewers out there, I appreciate you tuning in, listening, watching us, and for the support. Once again, appreciate you. Thank you for your time. And for reminding us that legacy isn't about applause. It's about awareness, heart, and impact. Listeners, you may feel like you're spinning, like the world is disorienting, but don't forget, the power comes when you pause, recenter, and take your swing. Until next time, stay grounded, stay humble, and stay ready to build something bigger than yourself, to build a legacy. This is Sueños to Success with Dr. Victor Rios.
That was fire.